United States of America has changed everything. Now, the US will now require $15,000 deposit from people traveling from many African countries on a tourist visa. What's happening, family? I see you. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to clap our hands. This is a way to salute our presence, salute each other, to recognize that we see each other. You know, there's a way that people greet in many African countries that means so much more. Let me give you an example. I believe the Zulus greet saying Sanibonani. Sanibonani means I see you. You know what I mean? It's not good morning. It's Sanibonani. It means I see you. Like I recognize you. I see your presence. You are not transparent to me. I am seeing you right now. It's beautiful, you know. Thank you very much for stopping. I appreciate you. And it's your first time. My name is Zack. Thank you. This is family. You want to know about the motherland? You're at the right place. Look, there are plenty of videos on YouTube where you're going to find a lot of information. They're beautiful. They're nice. We appreciate them. But they're not this fun. Not at all. Thank you. Now, today we're going to talk about something very, very interesting. I know we all want to know about it. Here we talk about all the lands. We talk about Tanzania, Uganda, Malawi, Burundi, Rwanda, Nigeria, South Africa. We talk about it. So, something interesting is happening, fellas. The United States of America has changed everything. Now, the US will now require $15,000 deposit from people traveling from many African countries on a tourist visa. This is insane. $15,000. That's the bond you need to deposit to the US Embassy, to the official, for you to get a B1 or B2 visa. We're going to dive into this. The United States of America will require citizens from Malawi and Zambia to pay $15,000 deposit for a tourist or business visa, according to US State Department.
I think it will be a little unfair with the visitors because it's a lot of money for them. Because normally, I think when you come here, you spend, if you are here for 10, 15 days, you will spend maybe $4,000 or $5,000 US dollars. But if it's another 15 grand on top, it's just a lot.
Did you hear that? Does that sound fair? It sounds unfair, right? I mean, how do somebody get $15,000 to deposit to travel to somebody else's? It's like saying, okay, for you to come to my house, you need to deposit, money to come see my house. Like, what's your house? What's your house all about? You know what I'm saying? You gotta have a level of superiority complex. Do you agree? You've got to see yourself superior to this person that's coming to see you for you to say they can enter your house or not. Or maybe saying, I have a restaurant, and my restaurant, you need to be wearing shoes that are worth at least $500 for you to enter. How much is $500 in South African rand? How much is it in Tanzanian? How much is it in Kenyan shillings? Now, the question is, do you want clients in your restaurant, or you don't want clients? Because if you're going to say that you will not accept clients that are wearing shoes that are not worth $500, then it means you have enough money, or at least you're targeting a specific group of people you don't want to come in. You see in some clubs, they say before you enter, you must pay, right? Why do they do that? They try to cut out the trash. Have you noticed that the clubs that require a payment before you get inside are actually luxurious clubs? They make much more money than those clubs where people enter for free. Because when people enter for free, usually there's mayhem and havoc. There's fight. There's people breaking bottles because it's the crust, the low quality of the human beings. But the clubs where they ask for money, deposits for you to enter, usually people go respect themselves. They buy big bottles and a lot of stuff. But the clubs where you enter for free, people don't buy big bottles. They buy small beers in the corners and they're fighting over nyash. You know what I'm saying? Is this the case from the United States of America? Is this a message to Africans saying that you are the lower grades of the people? So if you want to enter the United States of America, you need to bring a deposit. Well, the Americans say that Africans overstay. When you go to the United States of America, supposedly for a visit, to see a cousin that's sick, to go on a religious conference, you don't return. Even people who go to study, when they finish, they don't return. Therefore, they're going to install the system where you have to pay $15,000. Now, you're going to pay $15,000 to actually have your visa considered. And once you leave the United States of America on time, then they're going to reimburse you the money. Now, the question is, do Africans really care? Do Africans care? They don't care. Because let me put it this way for you. I know a lot of Americans are here and Caribbeans perhaps don't understand. In many African countries, people sell their houses so they can send a child to America or to Europe. I know it sounds outrageous. Yes, people will sell their land. They will sell their compound, like Nigerians people like to say. They will sell their yard. They will sometimes sell half of the yard. They live in a house, but they sell half of the house to somebody so they can acquire money to send somebody to America or Europe. Why? Because they believe when you go to Europe or America, your life is going to change imperatively. Somehow, I don't know why they think perhaps money falls off heaven when you're in Europe and America, but that's the concept many people have. People celebrate their child going to America. Yes, it's big party. He's gone. He left. Some people get into prayers for that. Yes, my brother, people will go in fasting. They'll fast 21 days. No drinking, no eating, just to get a visa to go to America. And going to America itself is like a massive achievement. I need to tell the truth. I mean, some of the Africans here are feeling funny. Like, why are you exposing us? No, I need to tell the truth. Look, if you got a wound that's rotting, we need to say you got a wound so the doctor can find a way to find a solution to your wound. Or else they're going to chop your leg. How about that? Why are you telling people I have a wound? You do have a wound, my brother. Let's fix your wound. How about that? Yes, people find going to America and Europe like an achievement. Like, I go to Europe and I return. It's like an achievement. Or I married a white man. It's an achievement for many Africans. Or I only date white. Yeah. It's shameful, but that's the truth. Now, why do people consider that as an achievement? Because of many lies also. And many lies which are many Africans that went abroad, whether it's America or other places, give a perception that they succeed in life. A financial perception, whether it's truth or not. In majority of cases, it's not necessarily truth. They will send pictures, videos, they will show off, they will do things, and sometimes it's illegality, sometimes it's money laundering, sometimes it's crazy. And they come back home and they build a house. Let's say it's something very illegal. They build a house, they do things. And what do the neighbor believe? The neighbor believe that, so the formula is simple. You just got to go over there too. So let's send our child. Maybe whatever these guys are doing, he's going to do too, so they can do good in life. And it's very sad. The other reason is perhaps genuine. A lot of African people are running away from Africa because of the situation, which is political. Many African nations are not democratic. Okay, people are actually oppressed in their own countries. In a way that in many African countries, an African person cannot have a disagreement with a foreign person of a lighter skin. And I'm talking here about a Lebanese, a Pakistani, and Indian, without having consequences. Let me repeat myself. In many African countries, when a black person has a problem with a Chinese, a Pakistani, or an Indian, he is beaten up by the police and thrown in jail. How? The Pakistani national or Indian will call somebody in the government, or a general, or a governor, or somebody like that, and say, I have issues with one of the locals. What occurs in most cases, for the general or whoever authority that comes, instead of protecting the local person, side of the Pakistani. Why? Because when many Pakistanis and Indians and whoever come to Africa, the first thing they do first, they look for an authority. They give them money, a lump sum, for protection. So in whatever situation, even if the Pakistani or the Indian, the Lebanese was actually wrong in the situation, they're going to protect him at all costs. Now, when people live in those situations, they feel oppressed. They're tired because justice is bought. There's no justice for the poor. There is no food for the people. You can't stand in the street, say we are tired, we have no jobs. You're probably going to get shot. This is the reality of many African countries. I'm sorry, democracy in Africa is limited to a few countries, less than 4. I'm not going to name here, I'm sorry. There's 1 or 2 countries in Africa where you can actually stand in the street and wear a t-shirt that says F the president and nobody's going to arrest you. In some places, you dare open your mouth, say we're not happy because we're not being paid. You're going to jail. So some people have genuine reasons to run away. However, in most cases, people survive, they live, they find ways to have their life in spite of that. People survive, they find ways to curve the situation. They make a living even though things are not necessarily as clear as the West. Well, I don't think the law is racist. I mean, it could be racist, but you gave them reason to support the racism if the racism is there. I mean, even if you think the law was racist, why would you give them a reason to justify a law if it's racist? I mean, you go to other people's countries, you don't return, okay? There's a superiority complex because Americans go to Africa. They do return in most cases. Now, some will stay, but not to the level of Africans, okay? Most Africans go, they don't come back. People go study, they don't come back. The Gabonese president, this man right here, he said from now on, he's not sending any more bursaries for Gabonese people to the United States of America.
This year, there will be no scholarships for the United States and none for Canada either, because studying there is expensive. You elected me to tell you the truth. It's expensive. And those who go there never come back. Did he tell you that?
What is a bursary? Bursary is an opportunity for you to study and come back. Okay, people go, they don't come back. So why should we pay for your travel again if we paid it initially so you can come and serve the country? Now, how do you develop your country if all you do is running away from your country? There's no way. Number two, why do African people run away from their country instead of saying and fighting for their freedom? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because among the same Africans, when some of them stand up to fight the government that is evil, some other Africans fight those Africans. Why? Because some of those Africans come from the same tribe as the people in government who are oppressing everybody. In other words, many Africans are happy as long as the person in power is from their tribe. And I'm sorry, this is not maybe the case of everybody, but in great majority, when the person speaks your mother's tongue, you find all reasons to defend them, instead of you coming together as a nation and fixing the country. Yeah, that is wrong. America shouldn't do that. Africans should reciprocate. Surely, before you reciprocate, you need to love your country, love your continent. Number one. Number two, you need to invest in your continent. How about you go learn and come back to your country and your continent and invest? Number three, how about you stand together against that politician or president that are oppressing everybody and stop defending people based on your tribal association? That's a big problem we have right there. That's a massive problem. Oh, he's from my tribe, therefore he must be right. That's a problem. Now, are American racist for doing this law? Well, I don't think it's racism. You must go fix your country. It's their country. Oh, it's their country. The good news is I see Senegal reciprocating already with a brand new law with immigration. Basically, Senegal is going to scrutinize every national from a country where Senegalese have no visa-free access. Meaning, if anybody from the United States of America want to come to Senegal, they need to be scrutinized. They're going to go through the very same process Senegalese are going through to America. Now, congratulations. We're going to talk about that on the next one. But again, you shouldn't be touched because I know plenty of African Americans that feel like, oh, that's not productive for us. But yeah, they need to show a level of respect for themselves. Now, let me put it this way, fellas. When another African person says to you that, please don't come to my house, I have visitors, do you still go on the next time? It sounds not nice, right? Why would you say that to me? I have visitors. Can I not be a visitor too at your house? Am I not worthy enough to be a visitor or to be sat next to your visitors? What do you do in most cases? You cut off the relationship, right? You pull away. So why can't you do that with the United States of America of Trump? Because they're clearly showing you that they don't value or respect you. I mean, just imagine, they're sending all these gangsters and criminals to Africa. Matter of fact, Rwanda has agreed to accept 250 migrants. Yes, 250 deportees from the United States of America are going to be received in Rwanda. And Rwanda is okay with that. Okay, so in one side, it looks like business. Now, on the other side, the US is sending the people they don't want, the people they consider as trash to your country. Is that friendliness? I don't know. Like, would you send a snake to your brother's room because you value your brother? I'm sorry, I have to find an example. A lady authority in the United States of America said that these are some of the most despicable human beings. We're going to send them to friendly African countries. Now, my question is this one. Do you find a snake despicable? Some people do. I know a lot of people in America and white people don't feel that way. But many Africans don't like snakes. Now, if you don't like snakes, you find them despicable. Will you take a snake and put it in your brother's room? You wouldn't do that, right? Why don't they send those deportees to France? Or Belgium or Netherlands? Why don't they send to this country? Why are they sending them to Africa? It means they see you in some ways. I'm sorry, but you found a definition to that. Now, Rwanda has accepted to take people. Rwanda has agreed to accept up to 250 migrant deportees from the US, making it the latest country to acquiesce to diplomatic pressure from the Trump administration to take in some of the thousands of migrants that have been detained. Now, we have Rwanda, we have Eswatini that accepted people, we have South Sudan that taking people in now. Many experts believe it's because they're trying to have a good relationship with the United States. Same as other countries that have done it. They're trying to be in the good books of Donald Trump. Because America is a powerful country. Therefore, how about we say yes, sir? Yes, sir. I believe Gabon is also accepted with this president. I mean, look at him with his hat, MAGA hat. He was very criticized for wearing a MAGA hat. Like, how can a president from a free country wear a MAGA hat? Why doesn't he wear Make Gabon Great Again? I mean, MAGA could also be Make Gabon Great Again. But that one says Make America Great Again. So he was criticized for that. So these countries in Africa are accepting criminals that are rapists, that are unalivers, Now, my question, would you send a criminal, rapist, and a liar to your brother's house? I don't know if you would do that. As for now, we have Malawi and Zambia that's part of the list of the countries that $15,000 deposit for visa application. Now, the list is going to be enlarged. They're going to list more countries in the days to come. My question is this. Is it a good thing that they're asking for $15,000 before you get a visa? I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing because it's going to wake Africans up. Number two, is this going to work? Well, it might not work, not necessarily. I mean, for somebody that wants to run away, they're still going to run away. I mean, some of these people cross this, look at this. They cross these deserts in Northern Africa. Look at the map. You see the map? This is Northern Africa. People traverse Northern Africa to go to Europe, okay? If they're willing to risk their lives like that, I don't think $15,000 will stop them. But overall, I think this is a message. I mean, if you thought that criminals being sent to Africa wasn't a message, this is a clear message. They don't want you over there. Stop forcing yourself in a place they don't want you. Go to the continent, okay? If your country is a shithole country, at least go to the next country and be a decent human being. I'm sure if you're a decent human being, you bring some skills, something positive, they will have no issues with you. Unless you're doing drugs and human trafficking and car robbery and stuff, then please stay in your country, okay? But stop forcing yourself. It's clear. You can't call Trump racist. It isn't. Did he come to your country to apply racism? No, he didn't. Whatever you're calling racism is being applied in the United States of America. Why? Because many Africans go to the United States of America as students and then they end up stop going to the university. They just sit there. They're going to have those visas cancelled. Okay, so there's many cases people going to church conference, then they stay. Pastors saying God told them they must stay in America. I mean, preach the gospel. My brother, in Onugu State, there are still people that are not being preached. You just want New York. What kind of a God is that? Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. Is this racism? Is this oppression? What is the solution that Africans can bring? How do you make yourself respected? Like when somebody says, I want to send you my dirty underwears, I don't want them anymore. Is that a sign of love or respect? Now, how do you pull yourself away from that? So, there was an helicopter crash in Ghana. If you heard of it, did you hear about the news? There was a crash. A helicopter in Ghana that's crashed. And unfortunately took with it several lives. These are family members, parents, cousins, brothers, important people in society. May peace be with them, first of all. It is very painful. These are the type of things you don't necessarily see in Africa, okay? Helicopter crash. And we hear these stories. I mean, we heard it, not to say that it's acceptable when it's somewhere else. I'm just saying it's not something that usually happens in Africa. Do you know of the story? There was a crash in South America. The airplane crashed and many people were unalive. And after investigating, they found out that the majority of people in that plane were medical doctors, researchers that were confirming a theory that say there was a manipulation around cancer. These people had a treatment about that works. I'm trying not to say things that would get me in trouble. And these people that could provide that stuff were all in the airplane. The finances, the minds, the brains, the engineers, all of them. They were all alive in that crash. And let's just say that it happened by mistake. What do you think about that? So again, we are in Ghana. Here's Ghana. Beautiful place, lovely people. Very interesting place. I spent time in Ghana. I can tell you there aren't many African countries where I felt at home. Never felt like a foreigner. Nobody has ever asked me, where you from? I actually remember somebody speaking to me, in local language, "Me Pacho, good afternoon." I'm like, huh? So he goes, "But you are Ghanaian." I'm like, "No." I say, you are Ghanaian. Why are you lying? Yeah, I'm telling you. Like, there's no trauma. I think some of the countries where people reject other people for no evident reason, it's usually trauma from something, whether it's visible or non-visible. If you look at the story, the issue of the country, you see drama, killings, wars. It's usually that. And I believe Ghana never really had anything of that sort. Like killing people, wars, coup d'etats. I believe one happened, but long time. Nothing dramatic. So Ghanaians are naturally happy people. They don't have Boko Haram over there. So there's no worry that somebody's going to take your child, go turn them into child prostitute. They're cool. Anyway, now we were talking about Ghana. There are many people that were unalive in this plane crash, okay? But we're going to focus on 3 here, right? If we have time. Number 1, Edward Oman Boma, okay? This guy is a defense minister who's in that plane, okay? Defense minister is also a medical doctor. He had previously served as a communication minister. So, number 1, he's a defense minister, he's a medical doctor, and in the past served as a communication minister. We're going to talk about this man. Who is he really? Number 2, we're going to talk about a man named Ibrahim Martala Mohammed. Okay, this man served as a Minister of Environment, Science and Technology. Environment, Science and Technology. The first one was Defense Minister, served as a communicator, is also a medical doctor. We need to find out, brother. You know, when accidents happen, people go like, oh, God called them. Sometimes it's not God that called them immediately. Sometimes it's Satan. It's Satan that use some people so they can call them fast. Now, I'm not saying anything. Let's just look who these people are, okay? Now, number 1, we back to this guy, Edward Oman Boma. So what has this guy achieved in the past? Let's just go through what they've achieved in the past. Well, the man focused on modernizing Ghana's armed force. So he wanted to modernize Ghana's armed force. He pledged $1 billion investment, okay, over 5 years to enhance the Ghanaian armed force. $1 billion. He wants to enhance the capabilities of Ghana, including advanced tactical vehicle, body armor, digital communication system. So he wanted to invest into the army to make the Ghanaian army stronger, more capable. He wanted to improve the technological capability. Number 2, in 2025, he visited Ouagadougou to strengthen Ghana's diplomatic efforts to address cross-border security threat, reflecting his strategic negotiation skills. So he crossed to Burkina Faso. Look at the border. This is Ghana, this is Burkina Faso. He went to Burkina Faso to have a discussion. Why? Because terrorists are in Burkina Faso, which is north of Ghana, right? He went to have a discussion with the team of Ibrahim Traore to have a discussion on how to tackle this threat. And with that, he showed his great negotiation skills. Number 3, housing and welfare. Well, this man Boma addressed severe accommodation shortage for over 17,000 Ghana military. Okay, 17,000 military force had no decent accommodation, and he addressed that by planning 10,000 new housing units across garnisons. He also introduced a Mahama Care health program for veterans. Soldiers had no housing. He initiated the program of housing for soldiers. Number 2, he came forward with a healthcare system for veterans. You know, in many African countries, veterans are left to themselves. Number 4, he supported anti-Galamsey operation. We're going to find out what Galamsey is, okay? Anti-Galamsey operation by deploying Ghanaian force armed personnel to fight illegal mining. So Galamsey operation is illegal mining in Ghana. Okay? You know, illegal mining, doing absolutely bad things. And he's enforced the fight against this by sending soldiers to go and fight it. Now, this illegal mining, which we're going to explain, is very, very dangerous for the ecosystem of Ghana. Okay, it's involved many people. Some are Ghanaians, some are Chinese, some are from other countries. They come illegally mine in Ghana using chemicals, destroying the environment, taking gold. Ghana has a lot of gold. Okay, lots of gold in Ghana. You see these people here? Call them Akan people. They have, see all the stuff they have in there? It's gold. It's real gold. Okay, actually, Ghana used to be a gold coast back in time. He sent military to fight illegal mining that was run by the Chinese. But also, Western nations were profiting from the illegal mining, buying and sponsoring people to go do illegal mining so they can buy gold at a cheap price so they can go sell. So let me recap. The man pledged $1 billion for the soldiers to modernize the capability of the Ghanaian force. Number 2, he went to Ouagadougou to have a discussion with Ibrahim Traore team in order to have security across the region. Number 3, he created a house welfare for soldiers, building houses for many military personnel that never had. That's about 17,000 people. Number 4, he supported anti-Galamsey operation. That's deploying soldiers against illegal mining that was run by the Chinese. Number 5, he offered money to soldiers that refused to be bribed by illegal miners. Okay, there was a specific guy he offered a lot of money, and he promoted him for his integrity and professionalism. The soldier was also promoted in terms of levels. Now let's move to the next person that was unalived. His name is Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed. The man was serving Ministry of Environment and Science and Technology. Okay, this is a smart man, he's an intelligent man. What are the achievements of this man? Number one, the minister was tackling illegal gold mining and major environmental issues in Ghana. You now seeing the picture? Yes, this minister was targeting illegal mining in Ghana. He was a staunch fighter against illegal mining. Let's see the difference between illegal mining and galamsey. While illegal artisanal and small-scale mining is regulated, galamsey operates without licenses, causing severe environmental damage, including deforestation, water pollution, example mercury contamination of rivers like the Pra and the Onkobra, and the land degradation. It also fuels the social issues like child labor and crime. Now, this man was fighting galamsey. Galamsey is basically the Chinese and these other people from other countries because they're all mixed. They come to the country that doesn't. Do you know there are 50,000 Chinese people in Ghana? Do you know that? They're all involved into gold mining. A lot of them are illegal. 50,000 people? That's a lot of people. So they go into areas that are not necessarily controlled, left behind, and they will target, they will mine into rivers. Now, they don't mine normally like normal illegal miners. They use chemicals. They bring excavators. They bring trucks. They put chemicals into the water to get the gold, and then the chemical destroyed the nature of the water. I mean, some of these rivers used to have fish. They were drinkable. Now people cannot drink it anymore. There's no more fish. They're dead. So this minister was combating and fighting against this. He proposed a reform aimed to impose stricter penalties, including jail terms for violators, and restrict mining in an ecologically sensitive area. So he came up with jail projects because some of these Chinese and other people will mine, even when they're arrested, they finally left out. He said, from now on, we're going to jail them because that's the only way they understand. That's the only language they understand. Because you go mine in China, let's see what's up. How about that? How about you go to China and try use some chemicals and see how they're going to treat you? Damage. Chinese miners use toxic chemicals like mercury and cyanides to extract gold, polluting rivers such as the Pra, the Birim, the Ofin, and Ankobra. A study reports 250 rivers in mining community are contaminated with heavy metals. 250 rivers! And you want to watch them. Because some people, obviously, these Chinese don't operate by themselves. There are some Ghanaians that are eating behind them. Some poor Ghanaians, surely, they give them some small money, then they can support them. Now, these two people, as you can see, what do they have in common? Now, I know we're going far, but let me add one more thing so you can understand. This man also worked very hard in scientific work. What is it? He engaged consultants to secure international funding for research institutions such as CSIR. Now, let me break it down very quickly because we don't have much time. The CSIR is a Ghanaian institution that focuses on science, okay? They develop things, they do studies on Ghana, on how to develop and industrialize Ghana. They have about 2,000 researchers and scientific. What do they do? Okay, CSIR is financed by America. Okay, they finance a lot of it. And when Donald Trump came into power, want to cut the funds, they were in trouble. Now, what do these people do? They do crop improvement and breeding. So they create crop, they tweak and things, make sure the crops are resistant to weather change, to heat, to many things, to provide food for the Ghanaians. Number two, they do soil and water management, okay? The CSIR do research to sustainable soil fertility. So they study the grounds, make sure the ground works appropriately with the seeds. They do food processing and value addition. They do land and water restoration. So you have a company here that works very hard for the Ghanaians to create things for Ghana to move forward. That is financed by America, okay? Now, America of Donald Trump say we're not financing you anymore. Now, by not financing you anymore, these people will not have the ability to work for the Ghanaians anymore, creating good seeds, getting good environment, cleaning the waters and stuff. So the Ghanaians are stopped. Now, this very last person went to find the funding for this organization in alternative ways. Do you understand what I'm saying? So Ibrahim Murtala Muhammad said, you know what? We should not be depending on America all the time. Let's diversify. How about we go find some other places how we can be helped? Now, both of these people are unalive. So number one, we're fighting against illegal mining. Illegal mining, it's a connection, it's an organized crime. It's not just one or two little people mining. It's big organization funding them to do it. Some of the gold go to China, some go to America too, okay? Recently, Ghana came up with a law. They recuperated their reserve gold. Some of the reserve, most of the majority of reserve gold that's kept in America back to Ghana. Now, these people were involved during that decision of getting the gold back from the United States of America. One of them is a defense chief who wants to improve the army, is no more. The other one is fighting against illegal mining. That is an organized crime. It's also finding alternative way to finance organism that's building Ghana. Is also dead. Now, who want them out? We cannot rely on external funding forever. It's time for Ghana to invest in its own science and innovation. We also push for increased government funding for CSIR, targeting 1% GDP allocation for. Guess what we're talking about. Now, who took this man out? I mean, I'm just asking, did the helicopter waited for two people that are very prominent for it to fail? I'm just asking. Who did that? Option, we have many options. Option number one, maybe it's the Ghanaians themselves. Why? Because of, we know that. But when last did you see an accident of an aeroplane or a helicopter in Africa? Question mark, I'm just asking. Number two, who can take him out? Maybe the jihadist. Why? Because he went to Burkina Faso, have a discussion with them on how to fight the jihadists. Did the jihadists manipulate the helicopter so it can fall? It's a possibility. What does that mean? It means there's a breach of security. There is a big loophole where people can access the Ghanaian authority. Number three, it could be the country you don't name. You know the country you don't name. Well, they don't like it that you find alternatives to them. You know what I mean? I mean, if they finance you to do things and they put pressure on you through USAID, saying we're cutting the fund, they want to see you suffer. They don't want you to see to go to other alternative people. That's annihilating their strategy. Okay, so when they cut the fund, it's not because of the music. They're cutting the fund so you can react in a certain way that's beneficial to them. Now, if you don't react in that way and you go to another direction, it's clear they don't like it. Who do you think did this? I'm just asking. You let me know how you think. Do you think this is poor maintenance? It's just an accident. It happened. The accident just waited when two prominent people that have done tremendous things. Number one, for the army of Ghana. Number two, to fight against illegal mining that is profitable for many organizations. Number three, combating against terrorists. Number four, strategizing in a way of equipping Ghana with its own scientific researchers and everything. Do you think it's poor maintenance? Do you think it's the terrorists? Do you think it's the country you don't name? My brother, it's always a pleasure to see you come back here. This is your family, and I see you and I respect you from all over the world. Thank you for choosing as I choose you too. I'm your brother, Zack Mwekassa. Thank you so much for being here. It's such a great pleasure when, you know, we walk down the street and you see people, oh my God, it's so nice to see you. Wow, you know, it's beautiful. I mean, yeah, I've heard that all the time before. It's not the first time. It's really depend on I mean, I'm also a professional fighter. This is me. That's me. I knock people out bad. I know some of you come here and say, oh, content creator. I'm not one of those content creators. The content creators are in Kenya, they are in Burundi, not Burundi, maybe South Africans. I'm not one of those people. I like and respect the work they do. I just like talking a lot. You know, I talk a lot. So sometimes I just want to and I come online and start talking. So I don't. This for me is not a content creation looking for money at all. With all due respect to the people and the great opportunities that YouTube is giving a lot of people. Anyway, once you become a content creator, the problem is you start saying things that are not necessarily truth because you want to please people, right? Because you want people to come back. That's what content creation. They bet on you coming. You know, they need you so they can make money, and that defeats the purpose because then you can't say things the way they are. Anyway, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Today we're going to talk about something very, very interesting. We are in South Africa, where it's shocking. It's very shocking. Then we're going to the next country. Fellas, a white South African farm worker accused of unaliving two black women says he was forced to feed their body to pigs, according to his lawyers. Yes, you heard me right. A South African farm worker has told the court that he was forced to feed two bodies of black people to pigs after they unalived the black people. Now, this man is going to face court. His name is Adrian the Vet. Okay, Adrian the Vet is a worker at a farm, and he said no, he didn't feed those people to pigs because he was forced by his boss. Now, Adrian the Vet is 20 years old. He's one of the three men facing murder charges after Maria Mahato, who is 45 years old, and Lucian Lovu, who was 34 years old, were unalived while looking for food on a farm near Polokwane in South Africa, northern Limpopo province. So basically, these black people were a couple. So they were going to a farm looking for food. What kind of food? Well, these farms apparently have leftovers, and sometimes big companies, you know, milk companies come and drop yogurt and some small piece of cheese and whatever to these farms for destruction. Now, unfortunately for them, they crossed the line for the killer by getting into their premises. I mean, for context, a lot of white South Africans are farmers. Well, you're asking how come there are white people in South Africa? Yes, there are white people in South Africa. How did they get there? Long time ago, hundreds of years ago. They left Europe looking for better pasture. Where in Africa, they chose Southern Africa. In South Africa, why? Perhaps because the weather is very similar to Europe. Mediterranean weather. You get winter, summer, springs, and autumn. I know America say it differently. Anyway, that's how it is. Now, the rest of Africa is not as cold or, varied. It's not as cold and diverse as South Africa. Most Africa, especially, tropical. If you're talking about Uganda, you're talking about the DRC, you're talking about Ghana, you're looking at two weather. It's the rainy season and the hot season. And it doesn't play. And the mosquitoes are there. Malaria. Don't go there play. You're probably gonna die. Don't do that. Anyway, go with is mafuta. Mafuta is oil you can use to protect yourself against malaria. It's nice countries. Don't listen to me. Anyway, back to South Africa. So a lot of white people came to South Africa looking for better pastures. A lot of them became farmers, for some reason, whether it's hereditary or something they learned from their forefather. Anyway, they were farmers. Now, that mentality of being a farmer has continued up until today. So today, you still find a lot of farmers in South Africa. The majority of farmers are white, okay? And most of them are Afrikaners. Afrikaners are a group of white people that descended from French and Dutch people in general. Some of them have, ancestry toward Germans as well. But anyway, I think you understand the context. Now, Afrikaners and black people of South African naturally, according to them, never really gotten along. Why? Because when the white people came to South Africa, they wanted to conquer. They didn't want to share with little pygmies. No. South Africa don't have pygmies. Anyway, they didn't want to share with Africans, which they found the savages. That's what Europeans found black people back in time. So they wanted to take over. They took over. Matter of fact, they even created a law, the Native Land Act, in 1913, where black people were not allowed to have any more land officially. The land was for white people only. Okay? So if you black people, you want to be in the land, you better be working for the white man. Okay, you must subdue yourself. And they created another system in 1948, 1949, the apartheid, which separated black people from white. In other words, white people kept the nice lands, the nice situation, the nice suburb, whilst the black people went there, by the mabuso. There they call it kasi. Kasi is like, the hood. So black people of South Africa stayed in one specific areas, while white people stayed in different areas. Matter of fact, black people of South Africa could not move from one place to the other without showing a passport. Yes, they had to show a passport to be allowed to move, or else you're going to be put in jail. In their own country, a country of their ancestors. Anyway, life can be cruel sometimes. So white people profited from this time. It was really, really beautiful for them. They were on top of the chain, followed by Indians, then coloreds, then black people. Again, colored people in South Africa are not equal to black people like in America. They're different. Colored people are usually lighter in skin, even though you may find some dark skin looking colored people. And the colored people in most cases speak Afrikaans also. And they have ancestry going all the way to Asia. Also, some of them are Africans, some of them Asia. So it's a mixer. Black people are really black like me. So that's South Africa for you. Anyway, now, separation was clear. Black people and white people in South Africa were never equal. Now, in 1994, there was independence and the freedom when Nelson Mandela, this great man right here, after 27 years in prison, okay, after being charged of terrorism, apparently he had put a bomb in a railroad or something very similar. Anyway, he was trying to find freedom for his people. They threw him in jail for 27 years. When he came out of jail, he ran for presidency. After running for presidency, he won the election. Why? Because the majority of people, voters, were black people. For the very first time, they were allowed to do so under the umbrella of the ANC. This is the ANC, the African National Congress. So Mandela was the man at the ANC. He became president because of the majority of the people. That is when apartheid ended. To go to schools with white people, to hospitals with white people, sit in restaurants and eat next to white people, and try to date white people. No, that's still very difficult for black South Africans to date white people. Very difficult. You find it once every 250,000 couple. Anyway, get back on track. Now, what we're saying is time had passed, but unfortunately, the situation remained very similar. In terms of land, white people still own more land in South Africa than black people. Now, white people have apparently more than 70% of arable land, of good land, whilst black people don't. Now, do black people want land? They want land. Yes, they surely want land. But do they really want land so they can be farmers? Question mark. Are they black farmers? Yes, they are. But the majority of farmers so far are white. They are good producers. They produce potatoes, bananas, tomatoes, and all that stuff. Apples and cereals and the stuff you eat in America. If it's South African apple, it probably came from a white person's, probably of South Africa. Possibly a black person too, but the majority are white and they are Afrikaners. Now, unfortunately, South Africa is called the Rainbow Nation, where, rainbow, you can see what the rainbow looks flag, rainbow, multicolored. But in reality, it's not really a rainbow nation because you rarely see a black and white couple. Rarely, you'll rarely see that. Usually, it's a very old white person with a young. Anyway, let's not get into that. Now, the rainbow nation. If you look at the jobs at work, at jobs people get breaks, like lunch break. During lunch break, you see the white people together with white people. You see the colored people together with the colored. You see the Indian people together with the Indian. You see the black people kuluming in the corner with the black people and tobeling and dumelanging among themselves. I mean, yeah, I know Africa. I'm crazy about Africa. I've been to many African countries, stayed in many. Anyway, so let's continue. So what I'm basically saying is after apartheid, not a lot of things have changed. They talk about unity. The unity is there, but when you get deep, it's very difficult. Many white people perceive black people as criminals. Many. Why? Because if you look at the record when it comes to many crimes, violent crimes, car haste, and all that stuff like that, it's usually my people, black people that do that. Other white people, yes, definitely. But there's a general from KwaZulu-Natal. His name Mwekassa. So the general said, so they believe the majority of criminals are black. And I don't know how you can explain this, but it's a sad reality.
We have a problem with the black man in South Africa. We have a serious problem. What you see here, we put the colors, the races of perpetrators that we've arrested. All the green, as you can see, almost everything is green here, which means almost everything is black that is committing crime. Out of total of 60,000 cases, criminals that were arrested between the age of 16 and 25 years old, 16 and 25 years old, we arrested 60,000 criminals in this past financial year, in this period of 5 years, I beg your pardon, not in financial year, this 5-year period that we are counting.
And after apartheid, criminality went very, very high. How is that? That is a subject we're going to dive into in the next time. But a lot of white South Africans, Afrikaners especially, still believe that South Africa was much better in terms of security during apartheid than after apartheid. So during apartheid, the blacks were controlled. Now they're not. So they believe the majority of criminals are black. Is this true? Question mark. Now, their perspective, claiming to see a bunch of black people coming into their property, luring around, for them they were criminals. So they had to shoot them and feed them to the pig. Now, unfortunately, you can't operate like that. I mean, even if you think you're dealing with a criminal, you need to stop them first and have a chat with them, because that is crime. You don't do that. You can't just think because I think people of this color are dangerous, are bad, I'm going to unalive anything that moves that look like. I mean, nobody does that. Who does that? These people were just looking for food. They were just looking for leftovers from cheese company. I think it's Clover. They were just looking for leftover food because clearly they're poor. They're poor. They needed some milk or whatever that is. Now, they seized this opportunity to unalive them. After being unalived, this guy, Adrian the vet, one of the 3 men facing murder charge, he dumped their bodies to the pigs. The vet guy will testify that he was under duress when he was forced to throw the bodies into the pig enclosure, according to both the prosecution and the lawyer. Now, if the court accepts this testimony, all charges against him will be dropped. So there's an older guy, Zachary or something, I think, who's the mastermind. Now, among them, my brother, there is a guy named William Musora, 50 years old, another farm worker. He's a third accused. Mr. Musora also faces a charge of attempted murder for shooting Mrs. Ndlovu's husband, who was with his wife at the farm, as well as possession of an unlicensed firearm, defeating the end of justice. So Mr. Musora, the big problem is a Zimbabwean national that crossed to South Africa looking for better life, shot a South African with the authority of the white man. Yeah, I mean, in many cases, a lot of white South Africans, when it comes to small jobs, they will rather hire Zimbabweans than hire black South Africans. Look at the map. This is Zimbabwe, this is South Africa. Now, a lot of Zimbabweans ran away from Zimbabwe because it's a poor country going to South Africa. How? Because Zimbabweans used to have their own white people back in time. But with this guy, Robert Mugabe, he kicked out all the white people saying, I want the lands back. Give us our land.
They're being hounded off their land.
Not just of their land.
It's not theirs.
Our land.
Even though they bought it with the certificates of approval from the government?
But haven't you heard of the Lancaster House discussions and the agreement with the British government? Because they are British settlers. Originally they have been British settlers. And we agreed at Lancaster House that there would be
But they're
land
citizens.
Yes, Zimbabwe also was subjected to land seizure like South Africa many years ago. In Zimbabwe, the white people were from Britain. They took land. When Zimbabwe President Robert Mugabe came to power, he took the land back by force. And after doing that, the country went to scramble. They hit them with sanctions. They had no food, no money, nothing functioning. All these white people left Zimbabwe, crossing to South Africa, some going to Zambia. Eventually, Zimbabweans followed those very same white people. They chased to Zimbabwe, to South Africa. It's crazy stuff. Well, these whites apparently are friendly enough to hire some of these Zimbabweans. Now, my question is this one. When you are a foreigner in a foreign land and you are given a gun to shoot somebody without clear danger against your body, meaning this guy was trying to kill you, why do you shoot? I'm just asking. The only reason why I would shoot somebody in a foreign country if I had a legal gun, it's because this guy is a direct threat to my existence, or maybe existence of my wife or my child. This guy is about to shoot, he's about to kill. Now you shoot. Let's say you were right. Why are you using an unlicensed firearm? I mean, even if you, what are the chances you're gonna get out the life of this court from a judge who is South African? You as a foreigner, you shot people in their land after you ran away from your country where things are not working. Do you understand? There's a lot of animosity among black South Africans and Zimbabweans because they believe Zimbabweans bring crime to their country. They believe Zimbabweans are very much involved in cash heist and all these home robberies and crazy stuff like stabbing people in the street for this. You know, we don't know. They accuse Zimbabweans of taking most of the jobs, which are, you know, low-grade jobs, low-paying jobs. Why? Because Zimbabweans can accept less money than South Africans. You know, South Africans, because they are black South Africans, they're working for white men in most cases. They expect a level of respect and some level of financial respect. So you need to pay them accordingly. Now, the Zimbabwean will say, okay, I'm a foreigner in this land. I'm just trying to get by. So just pay me off the money you were paying the black South Africans. And the black South Africans are not happy about that. Now, is this rhetoric true? Question mark. But in most cases, it looks like what they say the Zimbabweans are doing. And in the meantime, Zimbabweans go to South African hospitals and they say they overuse the hospital facility, which are sometimes provided for free, you know, and they accuse Zimbabweans of kicking out South Africans that are found in Zimbabwe in same condition, looking to access hospital facilities that are for free. So Zimbabwe doesn't accept black South Africa in Zimbabwe in the hospital facilities, but they want to access South African office. You get what I'm saying? So there's a lot of problems. In the meantime, I think this is a way for you to understand a little bit what's happening on that side. That's what it is, my brother. You know, we need to understand the continent. It's not just about politics. You need to know what's happening with your brothers out. That's how you understand. You know, we have more similarities than differences. I know. We speak different languages. We sometimes see life differently, but trust me, we have much more similarities. You see this in South Africa, it's called amagwinya. In Ghana, it's called bofrot. In Nigeria, it's called puff puff. In Tanzania and Kenya, it's called mandazi. I believe in Congo as well as mandazi. In Rwanda, it's also called amandazi. Anyway, there's a lot of similarity. You see this? It's called lobola in South Africa. You see this? It's called dot in Cote d'Ivoire. You see this? It's called bride's price in Uganda. There's a lot more similarities than differences. Fellas, big things are happening. Big things are happening right now, and we have to talk about this. The Senegalese government is not playing with nobody. Okay, you see those things that your country does with the Europeans and Americans when they're very scared to express themselves? Not in Senegal. Senegalese hit everybody with major visas. Visa required for everybody except Africans. Congratulations. You gotta pick my coffee on this one. Yes, Senegal at 8 again. Here's Senegal on the map. Beautiful place, lovely people. I always talk very positively about Senegal. One of the most stable countries in Africa in terms of democracy. Yeah, you're going to be safe in that country. Great culture, lots of food, good food, lots of wrestling and championships and all that stuff. And beautiful women, look at them. Dark-skinned women, natural hair, natural skin. Absolutely amazing. Let's get back on track. I can see you staying away with the ladies. Anyway, what's happening in Senegal? Well, as early as August 2025, the Senegalese government under the Prime Minister, this man right here, Ousmane Sonko, has now unveiled a mandatory e-visa system to nationals of non-African countries. I feel like clapping hand again. So non-African countries will have mandatory screening and visa requirements before they enter Senegal. And this is great. This is amazing. I mean, this is amazing for the very first time. At least for the few times you find an African nation with leaders that actually stand for Africans in terms of immigration. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why this policy? Why cut everybody else off? I mean, isn't this reverse racism? or at least racism? Isn't this, discriminatory? Well, the Senegalese government said the policy is based on reciprocity. Okay, reciprocity. Respect goes both ways. So if a country requires visas for Senegalese citizens, you will have to apply for a visa before you come to Canada. That is what you want to see. So if you want a Senegalese person, to apply for a visa before they come to your country because your country is special, then you're gonna have to apply for a visa to come to Senegal. Well, you see, Senegal is one of those countries that's opened its doors. You're trying to be nice to people. Sometimes you just want to be a nice person and you expect other people to be nice too. But unfortunately, people don't necessarily reciprocate niceness. That's a sad reality, Sometimes you're just trying to be nice and people think you're stupid. He's so stupid. Why is he letting everybody in his house? Why is he giving to everybody? But they don't understand you're trying to sow positivity. But by sowing positivity, some people perceive it as you being weak, Unfortunately, sometimes in life you gotta be strong. And Ousmane Sonko, this man right here, is a prime minister of Senegal, has changed things. Now, if you want Senegalese people to go to your country with a visa, being screened and stuff, we're going to screen you. Well, why are we talking about this? We're talking about this because a lot of African nations have shown a lot of weakness. Can you imagine there are plenty of African countries today where Europeans and Americans can come for free, like no visa. They can come for 90 days, have fun, have kloof with your ladies. Anyway, forget about that. Just kidding. Do all the kind of things that you can never think about and go back to America with no problem. But in the meantime, for you to go to America, you need to go through 50 pages online of explaining whether you're not a terrorist, you've never been to Afghanistan, you don't know how to use a weapon, you've never put your finger, forget about the finger. You know what I mean? Why does that make sense? It makes no sense, right? It's stupid. It comes a time where you have to stand up and say, you know what, I'm going to treat you exactly the same way you treat me. So who is affected? Well, for now, travelers from countries like the United States of America, Canada, the UK, France, China, and others will now need to pay for e-visa before they go to Senegal. Congratulations! Make Senegal great again. That is what we want to talk about, right? That's what we want. Senegal has got so much things to offer. It's a beautiful place. Look at this place. This is where the slaves were in Senegal before they were sent to America. They actually have a lake that's pink. A pink lake. Have you ever seen a pink lake? This is Senegal. There's so many things to see in Senegal. It's beautiful. It's actually a place you want to go do tourism. Now, before you come, you have to apply for a visa. Just the same way they ask Africans to apply for a visa. What are the goals here, fellas? There are certainly some benefits financially. Ousmane Sonko says that this is going to make 60 billion CFA franc for the country. That's approximately $100 million in screening Europeans and non-Africans and making visa benefit from it. This is great. This is ecstatic because guess what? European nations make billions of dollars from getting visas rejected on Africans. Did you know that? A lot of Africans apply for visas going to France, Belgium, Germany, you name it. They pay. You have to pay before your visa is processed. And whether your visa is accepted or refused, they don't reimburse you the money. So they reject the majority of applications, but they make the money. So they discover they can make a lot of money through Africans that are trying everything they can to go to Europe. So it's a business, get these little Africans coming here, apply for visas, which we're going to reject anyway, but they're going to pay each like maybe $200 or something, and maybe $50 on top to accelerate the process. But we're going to say no. So how about Senegal does the same? They're going to generate $100 million for the country. Congratulations. We get my coffee on that again. Yes, we want that. Now, he says they aim to modernize immigration administration, secure migration procedures, reduce congestion at border posts, and ensure payments transparency. So Africans also are, pushing with technology. It's not just Americans, Yeah, the screening is also African now. In Senegal, they're going to screen you. Make sure everything is transparent. Don't lie on your application, my white friends. Make sure you don't lie, okay? Tell the truth. Send your real bank account and bank reports. Don't bring the fake ones before you go to Senegal. Now, let's talk about this. Now, did you know that some African countries allow Europeans to come with no visas, whilst these very African nations need to apply for visa before they go to those European countries? Did you know that? Or let me break it down for you. A country like South Africa allows Germans to come with no visa for 90 days. French people can go to South Africa with no visas for 90 days. British people, all these European people can go to South Africa with no visa for 90 days. But a South African cannot do the same when it comes to Europe. Did you know that? South African man has to apply for a visa and wait. And some get rejection in most cases, actually. Right now, they get much more rejection than they got in the past. And a black South African will tell you the reason why we're being rejected is because of the Nigerians. The Nigerians are using our passport to do crime. Well, yeah, maybe are Nigerians using passports from South Africa to do? Yes, there are cases of Nigerians going to Southern African nations, not just South Africa, but also Namibia, where they will marry a local girl, promise her the future and the paradise and all that stuff. Nigerians are beautiful when it comes to lying to women. Yeah. You know what I mean? But what will happen later on is once they get a passport from South Africa or Namibia, they'll go to either Ireland or Britain or Canada, where they usually used to go with no visa requirement. And then they will do whatever they want to do. And then when the crime, if they are involved in crime, is found, then they will say we are South Africans, and then they will investigate. This is a South African with the name Ekechugu or Echinege or anyway. You know what I mean? Now, the truth is this. It's not because of the Nigerians. You must remember one. Let me put it this way for you, my brother. Okay? South Africa was run by white people for a long time. White people of South Africa are the cousins of white people in Europe, whether you like it or not. Now, at a time where South Africans could go to Europe with no visa was the time where white people ran the country. Now, they couldn't stop it immediately because it would have looked weird when Nelson Mandela came into power. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we had white people running the country, we got free visa, and now you have a black person, you cut the visa. It would have looked weird. So they needed some years, for things to simmer down before they remind you that South Africa is not run by white people like us anymore. Therefore, you need the visa. You need to be scrutinized before you come here. So it has nothing to do with the Nigerian. It's just an excuse. Of course, they want you to hate on each other. Well, you may have genuine reason why you don't like the Nigerians, but that is not one of them that justify the fact that you need visas. But what I'm talking about here is what? South Africa is among the countries in Africa. There are a few other countries that allow white people to come to Africa with no visa. And the black people in South Africa will tell you about these white people don't do crime. Well, my brother, you can't go to Europe with no visa requirement. If you're happy with that, then I think you have a problem. Okay? And Namibia, very recently with this lady here, this very strong Mama Nandi. Okay, in Africa, the respect is like that. Even if she's not your mother, you're going to call her mama because of, that's the way it is. A child in Africa is never a child of one person or one family. A child is everybody's child. So everybody looks after the child. They take care of the education. So if a child, for instance, let me give you an example. If your neighbor or somebody that knows you sees your child in the street, at the time they are supposed to be at school, they literally have the right to scream at, "Hey, you, what are you doing?" Like back in time, they would slap them, but that's not authorized anymore because things have changed. But now they can tell her, "I will tell your mother, go back home." And even if they see a little girl that's 14 years old with a boy talking in the street, they will scream it. So we have that sense of respect. Let's get back on track. This lady here, who's the president of Namibia, on reciprocity said from now on, since you have not reciprocated, we've allowed you to come to our country visa-free, and you are not doing the same. She literally said, from now on, if my country need a visa to your country should need a visa to my country. I'm saying congratulations. And there are plenty of African countries that allow Europeans to come with no visa while they need to go struggle for visa. And I think that's shameful. It is shameful. Well, things have changed now. What are the countries that are affected by Senegal? We have France. France was a colonizer of Senegal. So they had free access to Senegal. That's over now. No more. The United States of America with Donald Trump, that's, puts many countries to the side. They can't come to America. Well, you can't go to Senegal either. Yeah. And the UK, just to mention a few countries. Well, unfortunately, there are some African countries too that cannot go to Senegal right now because of the reciprocity. Okay, it's just weird that some African countries will allow Europeans to come with no visa, but block other African countries who have done absolutely nothing wrong with them, and they don't have a history of criminality. I mean, which criminal from Senegal do you know in your country? Well, the countries that are affected are these ones. We have Morocco. We have South Africa that cannot go to Senegal with no visa. Unfortunately, we have Algeria. They have to get a visa before they go to Senegal. We have Ethiopia. So we have South Africa, Morocco, Algeria, Egypt. They have to require a visa. Well, it is very sad that, some African countries should now have to get a visa to go to Senegal. Well, I guess Senegal opened the door for a long time. And out of respect, you should reciprocate because you have the right to screen the people and understand. Senegalese people are not like Zimbabweans in South Africa. They're not going to go and stay forever. I'm sorry, my Zimbabwean people. I'm just telling the truth. Senegalese people are not Nigerians. They're not going to go start a drug dealing pot or human trafficking situation. I'm sorry, not all Nigerians, but those ones, you know them. Even you know them. So let's continue. Senegalese people, they don't want to come stay in your country. They don't have time for that. They have a beautiful place, lovely culture. So I think it just makes sense that if Africans are going to come together as a strength, then you need to look at each other as brothers. And if you're not going to open the door for everybody, at least start opening the door for certain people. Senegal is one of the stablest countries in terms of democracy in Africa. So I don't understand how you will close your door to them. Well, South Africa, Morocco, Algeria, Egypt, Ethiopia, unfortunately right now are in the same basket as America, France, UK, and everybody else. Congratulations to Senegal. Yama coffee. Well, now we're going to Rwanda. Fellas, this is Rwanda here. Rwanda is a very interesting place. They have a very good culture, a lot of cows, all these cows with very, special horns. Look at these cows here. They love the cows. Cows is synonym to wealth. It's cultural. It's part of their identity. Rwanda also has a very good culture of, drinking milk. Beautiful culture of beautiful ladies. Look at all these people right here. Look at this 1, 2, 3, 4. Very interesting. Anyway, let's get back on track. Now, Rwanda has accepted 250 people, 250 immigrants that Donald Trump has rejected. Okay, I don't know how you feel about that, but yeah, they're going to be accepted in Rwanda. Trump has rejected them. They don't want them in America. They think they're criminals. They think they're despicable people, but they're going to be sent to Rwanda. And Rwanda has said yes. Now, Rwanda is going to keep the right to select the people they want to accept or not. And each candidate will be scrutinized depending on their situation. Rwanda will provide job training for them in healthcare. As far as now as we know, no deportees are free to depart. So you're going to Rwanda to stay until they decide otherwise. Yes, Rwanda is apparently getting compensated for this. It's not for free. How much amount, we don't know yet. But we know there was a country in South America that received $6 million for a bunch of criminals that were incarcerated. Now, are these people getting incarcerated in Rwanda? No, they're not going to jail. They're going to be housed. Now, we know Rwanda has a history of, accepting immigrants. They had an agreement with the UK where they accepted many migrants. UK paid them about $300 million. That was the least. It was much more, but that was the least. So Rwanda was to provide apartments and locations and, establishments for these people to stay. But unfortunately for this entire project, later on, it was cancelled by the new government. They say it was not working. But Rwanda still required money from the UK, so you still owe us a few $1 million as promised. Rwanda correct to do this. Well, I know you might be wanting to criticize them, but what I can say to you is Rwanda has to do what Rwanda needs to do for Rwanda to move forward. I mean, Rwanda is not necessarily a very rich country like some other mineral countries, but they need to be smart enough to build the roads. They need to have money for the government, money for hospitals. Rwanda provides free health care for the people. So it's not necessarily about the money you have. It's mostly about how smart you are. Yeah, they provide free health care for people. For the majority of people, for over 90-something people in Rwanda can go to the hospital and get treated appropriately. Good quality. I'm not talking about in some countries free healthcare is not nice quality. Many people choose to go to private hospitals to get good quality. Well, they get good quality because everybody has to pay tax. Anyway, is this a good thing or not? I don't know. What are the dangers? Who are these people? 250 people. Are they criminal? Are they dangerous criminals? Could they slip away from the country and go to the neighboring countries? It's a possibility. Could they start something, a gang or whatever? It's a possibility. Well, I hope the people are doing the necessary precautions to prevent that. What is for sure is that Rwanda is one of the countries in Africa with the least criminality because they don't play. They will deal with you really bad. Have you ever heard Nigerians going to Rwanda doing that? You never heard about that. I know my Nigerian people feel very touched. But anyway, thank you very much, fellas. I appreciate you. Like I said, Senegal has blocked the roads. Now you're going to have to ask for a visa. Okay, an electronic visa to come to Senegal. They will scrutinize you. They will ask you who's your father, who's your grandfather, who's your grandfather, who was your uncle's grandfather. They will make sure that you're not involved in any terrorist organization. Check whether you know how to use a weapon. They will scrutinize you big time. In the meantime, Senegal has opened doors for most African countries. So most African people can go to Senegal visa free. Congratulations. My fellow black people, I'm just kidding. No, there are plenty of white people here and people from other places. Matter of fact, some of your worst enemies are people that look just like you. How about that? You know that. What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. Thank you very much for stopping by. You are appreciated. My name is Zack. This is your first time. You're very welcome. This is home to a lot of people. Okay, you want to know about the motherland? You are at the right place. Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, South Africa, Nigeria. Nigeria and South Africa don't like it when you talk about them. They get very upset, very touchy. Talk about your country. Why you don't talk about your country? You always talk about my country. Why everyone want to talk about my country? Somebody has to talk about your country, brother. You don't say nothing to CNN like when they talk about your country. You have no problem with that. And Nigerians will tell you, you be mumu, this guy be mumu when you talk about all the drugs and the stuff with it. South Africans hate it when you talk about xenophobia. Get pissed off, bad, angry. This man, he lives in South Africa. And some of them even think that everybody on YouTube lives in South Africa. It's just crazy. Like if you talk about South Africa on TikTok, South Africans think you live. TikTok is in South Africa. YouTube, everybody that talks online is in South Africa. It's crazy. But the good thing is not everybody. It's just a bunch of people, just one group of people. They're specifically those xenophobic ones. You know, xenophobic people don't like it when you talk about xenophobia. They hate it. Just same as drug dealers. They hate it when you talk about drugs. They don't like it. You say, why are you generalizing it? Why are you getting touched, my brother? I mean, I'm not talking about you because you're not involved, right? If you're not involved, why are you getting upset? Why are you upset? We're talking about thieves and you're getting upset. Why are you getting upset? We're talking about thieves. You're not supposed to be a thief. Unless you are, or maybe your cousin is a drug dealer or human trafficker. Anyway, in the meantime, we talk about Namibia, Botswana, no problem. Ghana, you name it, we talk about it. We even talk about the African American community and the Caribbeans. Thank you very much. Pick up my coffee for yourself, for being here in the rendezvous. Every single day you want to see us, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you name it. You're going to find us here many times a day. Before we start, can I ask you to do this? Please do this. It costs you nothing. It makes us feel appreciated. It's done. Thank you. Today we are in Tanzania, my brother. Do you know Tanzania? This is Tanzania. Beautiful place, lovely people. I have some of the best time ever. You want to go to Africa and have a good time? Tanzania is one of the places. I'm telling you. I'm not biased. I'm always going to tell you the truth. That's why some people don't like me, because I always tell the truth. Anyway, let's continue. Tanzania has signed a big contract with the Russians. Congratulations to them. Piga Makofi. It's a massive project about uranium. Piga Makofi. Yeah. Piga Makofi is clap your hand in Swahili. Swahili is the most spoken language in Africa. Yeah, you see all these countries here? You're looking at Congo, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania. They speak Swahili. Obviously, the Swahilis are not Swahiliing the same way, you know? But they can understand each other with a little bit of patience, no problem. It's a beautiful culture. Great people. You're always going to have a good time in East Africa. No doubt about it. Anyway, let's get back to Tanzania. Now, Tanzania signed a massive contract with Russia in developing a processing plant for uranium. Congratulations to them.
We have jointly achieved a lot during past few years in various fields. To promote our bilateral trade and economic cooperation, Russia and Tanzania set up the Intergovernmental Commission on Trade and Economic Cooperation. The Commission has already had two very successful sessions devoted to a wide range of issues of mutual interest, including investment, trade, logistics, transport, energy, agriculture, tourism, and education. I am particularly happy to announce today that for the educational year of 2025-2026, the Russian government decided to increase the number of scholarships granted to Tanzanian youth from 90 to 150. Ladies and gentlemen, launching the pilot plant for the uranium project is a great continuation of our joint efforts to facilitate further cooperation. To start with, the role of uranium in the world's energy balance, especially in the context of the transition to more environmentally friendly energy sources, is riding steadily.
This is great. I mean, uranium is one of the most scarce minerals you can find in the world. Uranium is very necessary. What is uranium used for? You can use uranium to create nuclear energy. I know nuclear is very complicated, but basically you can create electricity. Do you know that? Yeah. I mean, You know Niger, this is Niger on the map. Niger produces uranium, and for many years, the Nigerian uranium was used by French. They bought exclusively the uranium from Niger, exported it to France, and created electricity. They made so much electricity, they started selling electricity to other European countries. In the meantime, people from Niger were in the dark. Now, Tanzania also has uranium. DRC, this country here, where people love dancing, they dance so much. Nothing else besides dance. They dance, church, dance, church. They hate war. Men don't like going to war. They're too scared. They just want to dance. And anyway, you never have a problem with DRC people. They just want to dance. They don't do drugs, human trafficking, guns. They hate. They just want to leave, drink. Anyway, now before we get back to Tanzania, DRC produced uranium that was useful for the atomic bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Do you know that? Yes. You need uranium to create the atomic bomb. Yes. So the uranium that came from the bomb Americans used in Japan came from this place, Shinkolobwe, in the DRC. Well, up until now, unfortunately, DRC people, or else call them Congolese, have done absolutely nothing with the uranium they've been blessed with. Anyway, let's get back to Tanzania. Now, Tanzania has seized this opportunity because, people are the same, but they're not the same. Sorry, people look similar, but they're not necessarily similar here. So Tanzania is doing something great right now with the uranium. They've signed a massive contract with the Russians. They're going to benefit financially and socially. We're going to find out about this now. So you certainly want to understand the project. Usually we say they signed the contract. You don't understand what the contract is all about. We're going to go from a general perspective of a contract and explain to you exactly what's happening. Russia is the lead developer, investor, and technical operator. So basically, they're going to provide capital, technical expertise, engineering, project management of the uranium site. Yes, brother, you want to find out, what is Tanzania gaining? Is Russia running these plants or what? What's happening really? Yes, my brothers, the pilot uranium processing plant launched in July 2025 is designed, funded, and operated by the Russians. So the Russians are coming, they are bringing all the stuff that they need, technical stuff, intelligentsia, expertise, the fund. So you have the uranium and the good. We're coming to your country because you have the good. So you ain't gotta spend no money, my brother. We're gonna spend the Russian money on your project in your country. How are you gonna gain? We're gonna find out about that. Well, not directly. Russia's not directly paying Tanzania to do this. Russia instead is investing an estimated $1.2 billion in Tanzania for this specific project. Big up my coffee, my brother, because you getting jobs and stuff. And we're going to find out how Tanzanian, normal Tanzanian people are going to gain out of this. Yes, Russia is supplying specialized uranium mining processing equipment. They are coming with the stuff. Okay, they are bringing the stuff. The Russians, they're doing things exactly the opposite of what Europeans do. Europeans came and they forced you. Let's not talk about Europeans right now. So the Russians are also bringing safety systems and radiation monitoring tech. Remember, uranium is not a playful mineral. This is a very dangerous mineral. This is what you need to enrich to get to the atomic bomb. It does have reactions, such as radiation. That's very, very dangerous. Actually, uranium is also used for medical purpose, like treating cancer and some other things. And also space work, So the Russians are indeed bringing engineers, teams, and skilled specialists, but they're also going to train Tanzanians on how to maintain and eventually operate the equipment totally by themselves. Pick up my coffee. Yeah, baby, pick up my coffee. So my Tanzanian brothers are going to learn how to do this. This is amazing. Now, how is Tanzania going to win from this? We see all these contracts being signed. How is practically the Tanzanian people gaining from this contract? So Tanzania expects to earn about $1.2 billion through royalties, corporate taxes, and dividends over a lifespan of the Mjuku River project. So basically, Tanzania is going to get royalties. So you bring the project, you bring the fund. Number one, we set our own price, okay? How much percentage we're getting out of this. Then, on your benefit, we have a percentage of 30% at least. So we set our percentage, which is generally between 3 to 6% from the money you're bringing. Then we have another percentage we're going to set on your benefit, okay? Once you've processed, you've sold, your benefit, we want 30% of it. Tanzania expects to create at least 4,000 direct jobs and 100,000+ indirect jobs. 4,000 jobs in the mine and 100,000 jobs indirectly. And we're talking about food, logistics, assistance, administrative work. When there's a big company operating in a corner, you need things, you need many services. We need new clothes, we need toilet paper, we need soap, all that stuff accumulating to 100,000 different jobs are going to be created in Tanzania soon. Tanzania is also winning through industrial development, my brother. So basically, uranium will be processed locally in Tanzania, my brother, creating skills, technology transfer, and higher margin. So congratulations. So unlike many African countries where, Europeans come to exploit, they will take the goods to Europe, the raw stuff, the raw timber. I mean, Gabon and Cameroon have a lot of timber, massive timber, big wood. What timber is? Wood. They will take the wood, put it on ships, and send it to Europe or Dubai. Then the very timber they send to Europe and Dubai is transformed into furniture. Then the Cameroonians will buy the furniture from people from Dubai at a very expensive price. Did you hear that? They take the timber from Cameroon, put it in the water, put it in a ship, goes to Europe. The Europeans and the Dubai people transform the timber into furniture. Then they rush going to buy the very same timber instead of developing on board. Same with cocoa. You know what cocoa is? This is cocoa. Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire has the most cocoa, the two countries with the most cocoa in the world. What do you need cocoa for? You need cocoa to create chocolate. Now, it's just recently they've tried to have industries to actually process the cocoa. But in most cases, especially for Cote d'Ivoire, the cocoa had to be sent to France. That's the boss. African countries have bosses. The bosses are usually the colonizers. Yeah. And usually presidents, especially in French region, you can't be president if you have bad relationship with France. You're probably going to get overtaken and overthrown. Yes, that's how it works. It's been like that since 1960s. Those people are not very much free. I'm sorry. Do you know that? Do you know that the French countries, all these countries, they still use a monetary fund currency that is printed in France by a former colonial power? And it's crazy because they've installed so many things in their brains that people that come from French-speaking countries, the better you speak French, the smarter they think you are. It's not even about speaking French well. It's about having the accent of the French person. So if you sound je ne sais quoi like a real French person, they perceive you as very smart. So to them, concept of a stupid Frenchman born in France speaking French properly doesn't exist. Anyway, let's get back to Tanzania. Tanzania is going to win through energy and strategic autonomy. The uranium development is part of a broader nuclear energy ambition. Tanzania wants to develop peaceful nuclear power for electricity and medical use, reducing dependency on fossil fuel and foreign electricity export. So this is great. Congratulations to Tanzania for good stuff. We appreciate this. We want to see African countries moving forward. We are tired of poverty. We are tired of crying. Oh, they must say, no, come on, man. Personally, I'm in love in Tanzania. I love Tanzania. I want to see it forward. Anyway, now there's something negative, unfortunately. A Ugandan minister criticized Tanzania for recent decision to ban foreigners from operating in certain small business area. So basically, a couple of days ago, Tanzanian minister decided that foreign nationals could not operate in Tanzania anymore. In small businesses, barber shops, selling airtime, money transfer through cell phones. In Africa, you can send money through cell phones. Yeah, you can. Okay, let me explain to you very quickly. So not everybody in Africa has a bank account because not everybody has a bank account. Some people live in rural areas next to the village or in the village. So maybe your cousin is in a village and she needs money and she doesn't have a bank account. You don't have to get her to open a bank account. What you got to do is somebody smart found that you could use a cell phone, your cell phone, credit your cell phone with money and send that money to a number. And with that specific number you're sending the money to, they can go to an office and they will give them money equivalent to the funds that you have sent them. Literally like an app, like I'm sending you $100. You see $100 and you go to whatever office, they give you $100. So a lot of people do it because there's some benefit, you get some benefit out of it. We're probably going to explain some other time. So these small businesses, many foreigners do it in Tanzania, including Chinese and Pakistanis and Indians. So initially people thought that this law came to stop or slow down the Chinese and the Pakistanis that are coming, doing and operating very small scale businesses, to which I believe, or many people believe, should be allocated to, locals. At least they found out also that it was not just about the Chinese and the Pakistanis, like cell phone repair, that's also only Tanzanians can do that. Now, the catch is what? There's a catch. You see on the map? This is the East African community. You can see that. It's the DRC, Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, and some other countries, I think South Sudan. They're all part of the East African community. Now, what is the East African community? It's something they created many years ago, started a long time ago, then refreshed in 2000. The goal was to get African people to work as a federation, integrate human population in a way that they can go to the next country and operate. They can leave, they can study, they can legally open a business and leave. Basically do like Europe. That's what makes you powerful. And the United States of America, for that matter. In other words, bringing Africans together, starting by East Africa. You know what I'm saying? But with that, it was very simple. It's saying you're opening a big market for everybody. So a Tanzanian person could go to Kenya and sell things with no problem, without being asked, where's your papers, where are your identification, what. You considered as a local. Same for a Kenyan going to Rwanda, same for a Rwandan going to Tanzania and stuff like that. Now, this decision is not necessarily from the president. It's a decision from a minister. Now, the ministers of other countries are asking questions like, we have our people living in your country. They are Ugandans. We have our people in your country. They are Kenyans. Now, what's going to happen? Do you want them out? How are they going to survive? Some of our people have been there for a long time because we have this policy. We've signed papers saying that we can integrate our countries and be in peace. Now, when you're saying that it's only reserved, these jobs are only reserved to Kenyans, what are you trying to do? This is counterproductive. Like, where are we going forward? Are we going backwards? So the Ugandan minister has asked questions. They want to understand what's happening. There are potential consequences. The consequences, the ban could lead to a retaliatory measure from other EAC countries and could disrupt the movement of goods and people within the region. That's what it is. I mean, what happens is when you do something to somebody, they will try to do it back to you. Is this productive? I don't know. I really hope this whole measure is limited to Chinese and, Taiwan, and there's no Taiwanese, all those people, Pakistanis and stuff. I really hope so. Why? Because I'm African and I firmly believe you cannot go to India and open a business as an African. They will beat the crap out of you and throw you in jail. You can't do that in China. I'm probably going to chop your fingers or something. So let's be nice to each other. We already know we don't do crime with one another. We already know that. The problems you see in South Africa with Zimbabweans, and it's not what happened in East Africa because they don't have that criminality and attitude of doing crime and car haste. Did you know that in South Africa, people run after cars? Cash vans? You know what's a cash van is? These cars that have money inside. They transfer money from businesses to the bank, like cash. Yes. Do you know those cars are attacked in South Africa? And I know South Africans watch this as a surprise because for them, it's normal. It's every day. There's cash haste, cash every day. But in the rest of Africa, you will never see that. Those cars don't even need bodyguard. They don't need bodyguard. Only the driver with no gun. He travels with it. In some places, you may see one or two people. Yeah, it's usually by itself. That shows you the mentality is different, The mentality of people in Southern Africa when it comes to violence is different compared to those in East Africa. And don't take it wrong. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm informing you. Don't be angry. The goal is to come together. The goal for me would be a lot of people in Southern Africa, when it comes to peacefulness, rightfulness, should be like East Africans, And I'm talking about not trying to shoot people everywhere. I mean, the bottom line is when you're looking for countries which are the most dangerous, cities that are the most dangerous in the world, you'll find Johannesburg, you'll find Durban, you'll find Cape Town. Those are 3 cities in one country. Not Kenya, not Tanzania, not Kigali, not Burundi. Anyway, let me know how you feel about this. We still love our South Africans. They're amazing people. They hit you with my piano. And those Xhosa ladies, Xhosa ladies are Xhosa ladies. They're the favorite. Nigerians love them. They have big nyash. And also they do good in life. When they leave their families, they go look for money. Those women don't play. If you broke, my brother, you ain't seeing no nyash. Oh, before you leave, drop a comment. We want you to drop a comment so we can make this much bigger, We have to move forward. We can't be struggling. And also YouTube say a lot of you guys watch videos, but you're not subscribed. And I don't know why you're not subscribed. I'm still asking myself. Please do subscribe. Thank you very much for the people that are part of our private groups. We appreciate you. We don't say it enough, but I want you to know we do appreciate you. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for being here. Thank you for pushing the van. That is heavy. God bless.